Story isn't always the primary reason we play games. Our hobby is one about feel, and we don't necessarily need character motivation to climb towers or take down crazed megalomaniacs. But there are some titles that are stellar examples of what games can do when they put narrative first. These are the games to show your friends who watch HBO but don't understand your hobby, the ones who think all games are a violent cocktail of shotguns and takedowns. With this in mind, we've tried to focus on entries that are relatively simple to play, with one or two notable exceptions, but in every case, these titles showcase storytelling in a way only games can. And who knows, after playing these, they might be more willing to give takedowns a chance as well. Here are 9 games you should play for the story. Some games enthrall you with twitchy action sections, tests of skill, or dramatic cutscenes. Night School Studios' Oxenfree, however, keeps players engaged with dialogue that's as well written as any TV show. All of the characters here feel fleshed out and relatable, and the suggestion of emotional baggage is always enough to make you want to keep playing, if only to learn the secrets of these damaged and distinctive characters. In this sense, Oxenfree feels like the best bits of watching a TV show. You're interested enough to dig deeper so you uncover more about the world and the relatable, multi-dimensional characters who inhabit it. Throw them into a game with multiple outcomes, an engaging, creepy setting, and a slowly building sense of dread, and it's easy to see why Oxenfree is on this list. One day, all games will be written this well.
Didn't you hear me calling for you?
Jesus, you scared me.
What Remains of Edith Finch is a tricky one to put on a list like this because you're just going to have to trust us. The more we try and explain about exactly what makes it brilliant, the less effective it'll be when you finally sit down and play it. Just pop a day in your diary, ideally a rainy Sunday where you can play the whole thing in one sitting, and go in cold. If you're still not convinced, hopefully this will help. It's not just a walking simulator. What we're showing you here is merely a glimpse of what's actually in the game, and playing it reveals a unique, surprising narrative experience that will leave you wanting more. It's a great example of games using a variety of inventive, tactile experiences to tell a fascinating tale. You'll just have to take our word for it until you've played it for yourself.
And I'm sorry about that.
Gone Home offers a thematically similar experience to What Remains of Edith Finch, a young girl returning to her family home, but it's worth playing both for exactly the same reason you should watch Goodfellas and The Godfather, even though they're both about crime. It's a completely different story, told in a different way, pieced together from bits and pieces found in an abandoned family home. As you might guess from the name, this one will speak to anyone with vivid memories of the house they grew up in, and it's an example of how games can spark nostalgia in a way films and TV sometimes can't. In Gone Home, as well as playing an emotional, sometimes threatening story, you're stepping inside a memory and experiencing it firsthand. It's unusual, effective, and utterly brilliant.
It was so worth it.
If you were worried this list would be a collection of achingly sad games in abandoned houses, The Witcher 3 is here to hack those expectations to bits. It's a bold showcase of the breadth of story games are capable of telling. Whereas our previous examples have been focused emotional affairs, The Witcher 3 tells a story of conflict, kings, and ordinary people ravaged by war. There's a fantastic, malleable hero in Geralt of Rivia, but the central story of his hunt for his young ward Ciri is really only part of the tale. The moments with the biggest emotional impact come from stepping inside the lives of people who feel like they really inhabit this world, even if you're only passing through as part of your journey to the grand finale. There's even a story-friendly easy mode for anyone who wants to experience the continent without all the brutal swordplay, and it's absolutely worth giving it a try.
We breaking with tradition?
To the Moon has the sort of premise that might seem schmaltzy or emotionally manipulative. It focuses on 2 eccentric doctors trying to fulfill the dying wish of a man called Johnny. And you guessed it, that dying wish is to go to the moon. Now that might seem like an afternoon movie designed to make your grandma cry, but it's deftly handled. The odd, sometimes bumbling doctors are a great foil for the game's emotional heart, and it's a fantastic way of exploring the power of memories. The feeling of seeing these characters hop through the echoes of Johnny's life recalls the best bits of Pixar's Up, and it'll have all but the hardest-hearted players reaching for the tissues as they recall a happy life now approaching its sad conclusion. We all spend hours on computers, whether through work or recreation, and her story uses that familiarity to tell a distinctive and enthralling tale. It's essentially a detective game in which you piece together a murder using video testimony from the prime suspect, but it's also much more than that as well. You're given a clear set of rules to work from. You listen to the words in the video and search for related clips, and this means the path to the ending will be different for every single person. In this respect, it's like being inside the montage in a crime movie, where the plucky gumshoe finally pieces stuff together and discovers the answer. But it's not just about mechanics either. The story is strong enough to stand out on its own, and the best way to experience it is just to take the plunge and play it for yourself.
The story starts when she's born.
From the opening moments of Firewatch, it's obvious you're playing a game that's going to ask emotional questions of you, but it never forces it. Once you're hooked, it lets an engaging story unfold gradually, leading to a snowballing climax that won't let you step away. And that's pretty much all we're going to say about it. Again, you're just going to have to trust us. And there are two reasons why this works so well. Firstly, the protagonist Henry feels like the sort of fleshed out character you'd expect to find in a good novel. He makes so many other grizzled heroes in games with their troubled backstories and haunted pasts seem utterly one-dimensional. And secondly, there's the world, a beautiful, sometimes bleak wilderness that feels like the perfect place to reflect on this magnificent game.
Whoa, that's not legal, right?
Undertale works because it uses the same voice as the stories we grew up experiencing. Not just that traditional fairy tale vibe of a child thrown into a threatening world struggling to get back home, but the game itself. The old school presentation, influenced heavily by SNES RPGs such as Earthbound, has an inescapable vibe of childhood adventure. Beneath the strange, blocky surface is a game with a delicate heart. It's a great example of how to tell a story that we influence with our own actions, but unlike some games that celebrate storytelling choice, Undertale rarely feels binary or procedural. Instead, you sit back and let your decisions, good and bad, wash over you. It's a modern Fable with serious emotional punch. The original Portal was a tightly plotted intravenous shot of brilliantly told narrative, a triumph of the linear game in a world of open world titles we'll never get round to finishing. And in that respect, it's perhaps shocking that Valve's sequel managed to take a silent protagonist and two rogue personality cores, and craft a story that feels as vivid and engaging as anything else on this list. As well as solving all the usual brain teasers, you gradually learn GLODOS' history, but Portal 2's true skill is in what it doesn't tell you. There's no grand monologues, no baddies explaining their plans, just Cave Johnson complaining about lemonade.
Don't make lemonade. Make life take the lemons back.
The game is happy to give you 2 + 2 and let you work out 4 for yourselves, which will make you feel like part of the story even if you're only piecing the evidence together. It's smart, funny, and completely essential.
To help you remain tranquil in the face of almost certain death, smooth jazz will be deployed in 3, 2, 1.
So there you go, 9 titles that celebrate the power of games to tell incredible stories. In truth, this list could easily have been twice as long, and games such as MGS5, Silent Hill 2, Dragon Age Inquisition, and Mass Effect 2 are all deserving of a mention. But are there any other games we've missed? If so, please do let us know in the comments, give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and why not subscribe to Logitech G for more weekly features. Thank you very much for watching.